Which one would you pick? Buying or renting a condo?
A lot of people have to start with the condo and kind of learn. And it's a great way to learn how to be a homeowner because at least, you're only responsible for the walls in and the HOA will be responsible for the walls out. So you can learn what it takes to maintain something and take care of something and maybe improve something from the inside.
So if you're going to buy a condo, what would be the couple of things that you would want to, some of the steps you would take just before you put in, your check, your deposit, your earnest money, what would some of the things that you need to do before that? Hi there, I'm Charlie Giang. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today we have a mortgage broker, Russel. Russell's been on the show before, and he is a mortgage broker, and he's been in California for about 12 years, and he's been doing this a very, very long time. He's fought a lot of battles. He's won a lot of battles, and so one of the things that I've been asking him about is, hey, is condos a good investment? And there's been a lot of news lately, especially since the 2015 collapse in Berkeley, the balcony. So that has also spawned a whole bunch of other problems. We're going to talk about that today. So the basic question here is, Russell, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Charlie. Happy to be here.
And always good to have you. So we're going to talk about condos. Right off the bat, ballpark, can you talk a little bit about some of the pitfalls of condos? And ultimately, we're going to, obviously get your 2 cents worth on, do you think condos are good investments?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, any type of real estate right now in the Bay Area is a good investment, but there are some pitfalls when it comes to buying a condo. And, I've had a couple of these issues come up lately with different real estate professionals calling me to see if I can help them solve some problems they're having with their own listings and condo complexes. So a couple of the big issues, as Charlie mentioned, is that a few years ago, I guess in California, they enacted what's called the balcony law, which is was spawned off of some kids that were having a party. And were hanging out on a balcony, and the balcony collapsed, and some people, were injured and also passed away. And so the state of California enacted this balcony law to kind of mandate that these HOAs are doing regular inspections of their balconies and patios to make sure that there's no, health or safety issues there. And it seems that lately, the last several months or so, that this issue is coming up a lot because of, the requirements that they're facing with reporting that when people are trying to buy a condo in a complex that's affected by this, it's coming out through the condo questionnaire to the lender that there's deferred maintenance and that there may be some repairs that are happening. And then, of course, that's when the lender starts asking more questions and is ultimately, denying the loan in many cases because of the deferred maintenance on these balconies. And I've talked to several different wholesale lenders across the country who are, hearing this issue from, lenders, brokers like myself, statewide. So this is becoming a big issue. So it's super duper important to, when you're considering buying a condo as a home buyer, that you're doing your due diligence, that you're looking into the HOA, you're looking to see if it's been well funded, if it's well insured, that there's no special assessments coming, there's no deferred maintenance issues, and also any pending litigation. This is also an issue that's been coming up lately. There's a community here in San Jose that consists of several different projects called Communications Hill. And several of the HOAs on Communications Hill are in litigation. And so when buyers are looking to buy those condos or townhomes and there's litigation affecting that property, all the mainstream lenders, the big banks and such won't lend on that property. It takes a specialty lender to lend on condos in litigation. And so when these buyers are putting in offers and getting into contract and they're non-contingent offers, then they discover that there's litigation. There's no way out unless they find some, and they find the ability to pay with cash or find a hard money lender or somebody that's willing to take that risk. Most lenders, 98% of lenders will not take that risk. And then that buyer's kind of left either, finding the cash or losing their deposit. So it's a really risky problem.
Or either that, or they'll have to pay quite a bit of money on it, as far as points above regular points, with a lender that's is willing to lend them the money. You mentioned just before we got on the call that in the past week alone there were two cases that needed you to be some rescuing from you. Can you tell us a little bit more without revealing too
Yeah,
much?
yeah. So again, both of these issues were in the Communications Hill area, and I've done many deals in that area over the years, mainly because of the litigation issues that are there. So the reason there's litigation is, when these projects are built, there's a 10-year statute of limitations to get the builder to cover any repairs that may be needed. So you commonly see, HOAs bring litigation against the builder to get them to cover any repairs that may be needed. And some of that could be on a small scope, and some of it could be rather large. So they open up, these litigation inquiries, and that's when, oftentimes you see a lapse in value for the time being, and then of course that value returns once the litigation clears. But during that period of the active litigation, most lenders don't want to touch it, and so, for instance, the most recent issue came to me on Monday, where happened to talk to a listing agent, and he said, "Hey, since I have you, I have this listing on Communications Hill. We've got litigation. It's in the pre-litigation phase right now, but the buyer's lender has denied the loan. Can you do it?" And I called my lender, who is the only game in town in the country, really, that does condos and litigation. And I asked them to see if we could do it and save that deal for that buyer. And they referred to their list, and they maintain a list of HOAs that they're willing to work with, or should I say maybe a blacklist of HOAs they're not willing to work with. And this particular complex fell into that blacklist. So the lender, who more commonly does these types of things, basically said, "Sorry, we can't help you on this one." And so I related back to the listing agent that, hey, the buyer in this case is not, is not going to have an easy time getting financing. And if I can't do it, most can't. And the only option they're going to have is cash, hard money, or maybe a portfolio lender that's willing to take the risk. But 99% of them will not take the risk, and so that's gonna be really hard on that buyer. And I kind of got the indication from the listing agent that their intention is probably, because it's not contingent, to keep the deposit. So,
Did
that's 40, 50 grand, whatever it might be,
Holy crap.
lost by that buyer.
It's 40, 50 grand. That's a lot of money. I mean, wouldn't they usually just put in like 1% or as earnest money?
You got to put in that 3%, right? So, if it's a, you know, $1 million loan, I mean, that's easily a 30, 40, 50 grand payment, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So, it just really depends on the purchase price, but it's still a good chunk of change to put at risk when you haven't done the due diligence on the property.
So if you're gonna buy a condo, what would be the couple of things that you would want to, some of the steps you would take just before you put in, your check, your deposit, your earnest money, but what would some of the things that you need to do before that?
Well, you'd want to review all of the HOA documents. You're looking at minutes from the monthly meetings. You're looking at insurance paperwork. You're looking at how well they're funded. If there's any special assessments or deferred maintenance issues that have come up in those minutes, any financial risk with regards to that particular property, including pending litigation or if they're in the pre-litigation phase. And then, of course, if there's been any deferred maintenance, if there's any inspection reports around that might give a clue as to what that deferred maintenance might have been subject around. And if it's a balcony issue or patio issue,
Right.
centered around this SB 326, if that's going to be an issue in the future.
So in this particular case, why didn't the listing agent, review this to the buyer before the buyer put in an offer?
A lot of times, and I can't say for sure in this case 100%, but just a lot of times, realtors are not doing the homework. You know what I mean? They're not asking the hard questions. They're just assuming everything's fine until everything is not fine, right? And so in this case, it was, one of the two calls I've received in the last 2 weeks or so regarding this issue. One was a proactive call saying, "Hey, I know there's litigation on this property, and I want to make sure that you can be a resource for this property." The other one was more of a rescue call of, "Hey, we just discovered that there's litigation on this property, and can't you save this deal?" So
And this was the listing agent. I mean, this is the listing agent and not the buyer's agent. Did the buyer have an agent?
yeah, and the buyer's agent obviously recommended that they offer non-contingent, which is kind of the standard here in the Bay Area. But you know, had they done the homework, and you know, I mean, I know from years and years of experience that Communications Hill is inundated with litigation. So if you're buying a property in that area, you should always be asking that question before you're making an offer: Is there any litigation pending on this property and or in this HOA? And in this case, the buyer's agent didn't do that, and didn't vet it out properly. And now that buyer is money is at risk, and that could create opportunities for their own litigation. In terms of suing that realtor or that broker and saying, "Hey, you put my money at risk. You didn't advise me properly."
So it would be easier if the buyer had just come up to you right from the get-go before he placed an offer and said, "Hey, Russell, this is what I want. Can you give me a pre-approval for this particular loan for this particular condo? Can you just check it
At
out?"
least vet it out, right? If they,
Yeah.
hey, is there any issues here? This is the problem: is many buyers and are just going to where they bank or whoever's got the lowest rate or whatever the case may be, and then they put themselves in a pickle because they're not looking at the right things. And in my opinion, rate is one of the least important factors when buying a home. What matters is that you're working with people that understand what they're doing and have solutions to rectify problems as they arise. And, especially the big banks and that kind of thing, they're not about fixing problems. They're about, cookie cutter solutions. If you fit their box, great, you'll get a good rate. But if you don't fit their box, then, you're only going to find out midstream once you're in contract, once your EMD is on the line, and then it puts a lot of stress on the situation. So, I often, recommend to buyers and to realtors themselves, hey, make sure that the lender you're working with has the ability to deal with issues and solve problems, because while it may not happen on every deal, it certainly happens on a good 20 or 30%. I would say half of my business itself is just saving deals that are in contract and trying to keep it on track for that buyer.
What's a better option, to buy a condo and go through all that hassle, or forget all the hassle and all that problem and the possibility of losing a whole chunk of change, or renting a condo? I mean, which one would you pick, buying or renting a condo?
Well, I know which one I would pick. What would you pick?
Personally, I'm still a sucker. I still wanna buy something because I know that that's a good way of creating wealth, and I don't mind
That's
going
it.
through the hassle of going through the approval process of just getting approved, because once I'm able to build some capital over the first couple of years of owning a condo, I can use that capital that I built up, even though a the capital gains on a condo versus a single family residence is way lower, but still it'll help me, force me to save, put some capital aside, and then in a couple of years after buying a condo, I can either buy a single family residence, or just sell it, and then I have a whole bunch of money and go buy a single family residence. So either I keep the condo
Understood.
and then go buy another one, or sell the condo, at least I have a whole bunch of capital, and then go buy a single family residence. Would you agree
You
with that,
got it.
or?
I mean, you nailed it, right? It's an entry point, especially here in the Bay Area, where it can often be very unaffordable to buy a single family home as your first home, especially for young people. a condo can be a launch pad, a stepping stone to get to that ultimate goal. So I've had many people over the years. I remember helping a single mom buy using a down payment assistance program back in, I want to say, 2018. We used a down payment assistance program. We paid off her car in the process with the money that she had saved, and reduced her debt, and got her first condo in Burlingame, for her and her kid. And then within 2 years, she was coming back to me to, she wanted to move over to Brentwood, so crossing the bay, but she was able to buy a single family home based on the appreciation of that condo. So she stepped up and was able to get to the goal she wanted. And so I remember her first condo, she put in about $22,000 to get, for down payment, closing costs, all that stuff, plus the down payment assistance we got her. So it cost her 22 grand to get her first place, and then that 22 grand turned into a couple hundred over that couple of years, and she came back and got her single family later. So to me, the condo is the the initial process. It's kind of the rite of passage to get in, right? And for many people now, if you're a tech engineer like a lot of people here, and you've got stock options, or you've got this ridiculous income that you can go with a single family out the gate, great. But that's not a lot of people, and so a lot of people have to start with the condo and kind of learn. And it's a great way to learn how to be a homeowner, because at least you're only responsible for the walls in, and the HOA will be responsible for the walls out. So you can learn what it takes to maintain something, and take care of something, and maybe improve something from the inside. And then once you graduate up to the single family, then you can kind of take those skills and apply it to taking care of the whole structure, and all the things that go into maintaining an actual home.
Okay. Well, if I'm going to buy a condo more, first thing I'm going to do is give you a call and say, hey, please, just check this out for me and see if it's good bet. And then, I'll definitely come to you for the advice of whether I can get a loan for this or not, whether it's been blacklisted or not. But whether this particular condo is a good investment or not, then I'll do my own research, and I'll go do my own search. I'm good with that. I'll just crunch out all the numbers, look at the trend lines, the area, and so on and so forth, and then I'll decide whether I want to buy in that particular area or not. Condos, real estate, in my opinion, is always a good investment.
Absolutely.
The worst case scenario, if I don't want to stay in the condo myself, I'll just Airbnb it out, and hopefully this particular HOA will allow me to Airbnb. If it's not, then it's a deal breaker for me. So, yeah.
100%.
All right. Anything else you want to toss in before we round up?
No, I appreciate you having me here today, and thanks for the invite, and I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah. Thanks, Russell. Thank you so much for talking to us about condos. So, guys, there you have it. Condos, and what you should look out for. If it was me, and if I'm going to buy a condo, the first thing I would do is basically give Russell a call. His information will be in the comments, and you can reach out to him or reach out to me, and I'll connect you with him. And so, if you're going to buy a condo, please do your homework. Not only on the finance side, to make sure that the condo you want to buy into, that you want to buy in, is not blacklisted, and then you don't want to be in a position where you put a whole chunk of change in it, and then you're not able to get lending for it, and therefore you cannot complete the deal. So save all that hassle and all that nightmare. Just give us a call, one simple call, and we'll take that worry away from you. There you go, guys. Thanks again, Russell. Thanks for joining me today. Again, if there's anything we can help you with, just give us a call. All right. Thanks, guys.